Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of season 4 of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bas Moreno. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you're listening and watching from. Uh, Follow, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Hit the red subscribe button. Uh, Type in the Social Work Rants podcast. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at the Social Work Rants podcast. That's all one word. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Social Work Rants. You can also hit the like button on Facebook. Type in the Social Work Rants podcast. Hit the like button. Leave comments on all audio platforms, even on YouTube. Leave ratings on Spotify, on Anchor. It'd be greatly appreciated. We're gonna do something a little different. For those who don't know, I was recently on the radio, Black-owned radio station 102.6, The Situation out of Atlanta. You also could hear them throughout the world. So Atlanta's their home base, and I had the pleasure of being on the radio station talking about my upcoming poetry book, Triumph Through Pain: How to Maximize Your Full Potential During Down Times, coming very, very soon. And talking about my business, Bas City Entertainment, and had the pleasure and honor of being on this great radio station. And the host was so gracious with his time, and what better way to return the favor but having the host of 102 Points, The Green Machine, has my guest of the podcast at this time. We touched when I was on talking about my interview. We for people who know my story, don't know my story about my mom passing away from COVID in May of 2020, and talking about me still wanting to achieve my goals and figure out a way how to do it, and still doing them and still learning how to while still grieving. And then just hearing briefly Robert's story of his mom passing away, and we're going to talk about grief and loss, and how we still things that just little things that hit us and just make you think of the person you lost. And it could be anybody, and so many people are grieving at this time, hurting during this pandemic. We have over 156,000 children who lost some caretaker during this pandemic, and that number is still growing. We're over 800,000 people who lost their lives during just here in America because of COVID. So, Robert, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm loving the background, and we'll get into that.
And thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate that. And, of course, you're my guy, Bass, man. Hey, it's good to return the favor. This feels good. And, we're going to talk about something real today. And thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this great program. Thank you.
No, not a problem. And for my audio listeners, he's got a background in pink background with I guess like a montage of Robert's mom. Robert lost his mother due to breast cancer, so we talk about that, and just the whole meaning behind it. We've so many people lost loved ones during this time, and breast cancer is such an important topic. It's not just breast cancer awareness month. It's just it hits all year long, and one of the leading causes of death for women, and it doesn't get talked about as much. Men get breast cancer as well. So
True. Yeah.
we'll talk about it, but before we get there, let people know exactly who you are. We'll talk a little bit about the station, give like a little background of yourself as the person, and talk about your hosting duties on the radio station.
Absolutely. And once again, thank you for having me in. I'm the Green Machine, one of three owners of 102.6 The Situation, online radio for everyone. and we can be heard worldwide as Black owned, Black operated outlet. And we are the voice of the voiceless, and we make sure that we really give people the information that they need, but also the music that they can groove to as well. So it's great that we have this dynamic, that we're able to have outlets that we can really hone in and really be ourselves, instead of be what management wants you to be what you know other people want you to be. You don't have to force yourself to be this character here at home, which I like to call it. Everybody who comes in here, who comes on this our station, is home. You got to feel like home,
Mm.
and that's what you felt when you came on my
Yeah.
show, the Morning Machine, which is 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday morning, pretty much the same hours as your Steve Harveys, and the same hours as your Ricky Smileys and your Russ Pars, and yeah, it's your regular morning show, but regular with a little difference here, because we do have some different segments where we highlight businesses such as yours. We also do Mindset Monday with Coach Jarvis, my brother, my other business partner. We've grown that brotherhood over time, and I want to just send that shout out to him over here from this side, because I'm not a better man without him. You know what I mean? And yes, I'm going to take time to plug. Follow him at Passion Purpose Coaching, passionpurposecoaching.com. Make sure you book. Also, Shanice Evans, my 215 sister, continuing to keep things rolling, and
She was
even
so
her.
sweet when she called me on the phone,
Right,
and
yeah.
she helped me because I put the wrong YouTube banner on the email, and I had to like switch it up.
you, hey, it happens to the best of us. We all have those times where we get prepared, and sometimes we may be overly prepared. I'm like, I forget that one thing. But yeah, just the most sweetest person you'll ever meet, but she got it together. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't ask for better business partners in this field of radio, because radio is a tough business to be in. And you're in Delaware, the tri-state. So if you're familiar with Philadelphia radio, if you've been there for a while, I had three uncles in radio, and
Mm.
one of them is the voiceover to our radio station. And so these are familiar voices that have been in the community decades, that have been in radio, and they have been icons. They've been continuing to push and do it and do it and do it. So over the years, over the decades, growing up, high school, college years, throughout their careers, I've been listening to all of them and just bringing together a melting pot of different styles that I got from all of them. And
Mm.
it just made all the difference to where I am now. Did I go to school for it? No. I went to school for transportation logistics, believe it or not. But I ended up, guess what? You guessed it, in the family business,
Right.
radio, where the expertise is. And I just honed in on my craft. And, a lot of times when you do these radio and podcasts, they can be a bit of therapy as well, which
Oh
is why
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
honored and privileged to be on your podcast today, because this actually will help someone else who's dealing with this situation as well.
Right. Absolutely. And I like we touched on before, like when I first did this podcast, I had no idea what the heck to talk about. And then like, as
You
time went
feel
on,
like me? I didn't have any idea.
I know I wanted to do it. Like, what exactly is social work that I want to like to talk about? And then like COVID came in, it's like, oh, okay, like just providing like resources and then like things that happened with my mom, and was able to talk about everything that transpired like all of April 2020 and leading up to the point where I had to call 911 and take her and have her admitted to the hospital.
Right.
and then after she passed away, then having a whole episode about that. So and then like
Mhm.
birthdays, and then like anniversary of the year already passed, and things of that nature, and that people could, anybody could relate, regarding, that type of situation. And then having people I knew who, their moms passed away like after, my mom. So it's just, kind of being there, and then have like that support system, like, hey, like if you need like somebody to, you could reach out to me. We could kind of like, you know kind of like in a way grieve together, or just like feel your pain, like in a way. It might be different circumstances, but still, like, you had like your mom lost, my mom lost,
Right.
and then reach out to people who've had like their moms pass away, like, years and years ago, like how, like, what do you do during like anniversaries, like birthdays, things that, anything that pops up, in your head, like, well, like how do you handle that, so that way we different people, but just to piggyback on what others have gone through, and maybe like learn, and maybe like adjust to however, I'm feeling, like, oh, okay, this, what I feel makes sense, because somebody like was experiencing the same thing. So
Right.
so let's get into, your story, like your beautiful montage, like, of your mom, and in the background. Tell us about you what made you want to like talk about, the topic of losing your mom, and give a little bit backstory about yourself, your relationship with your mom.
All right. So basically that relationship was very strong. From beginning to end. There were times where, I mean, any teenager is gonna make her upset, make a mom upset. You're growing. You gotta kind of grow through things in
Right.
order for you to become better. And sometimes you just have to, the decisions that you make do last for a while. And I had to learn that the hard way, after, an incident that happened when I was 16. Yeah, that's right, 16. And you're probably be the wildest thing. I'm not going to get too much into that, but
Right.
just understand that, if I stay out all night on a school night and nobody's heard from me, yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was grown then, and I really tried to get on my high horse then, and that really backfired because that was the time where I did lose her trust for a
Mhm.
while, and it took years, it took past college to gain that trust back. It was very slowly but surely, and but not it, there was no real tarnishing of any relationship or anything of that nature. Yeah, we may not have saw eye to eye on a lot of things, but that's the growth and everything. That is
Mhm.
the pure growth, and when you have that growth, you end up rebuilding and mending those fences, rebuilding those bridges to really link. Now, fast forwarding, had no idea that she was in this fight for years. I've
Mhm.
only known for about 2 years leading up to this. I only known for 2 years. There was the year one where it was like, I guess we could count it as no, it was 2019 actually. It was 2019. When I found out, so I found out a week before my daughter's birthday, which is in August of 2019. I found out, finally found out, but she had
Mhm.
been dealing with it prior. So she didn't want to tell anybody because I understand that metastatic breast cancer is something that will hit you emotionally. You won't know how to tell your family, your friends, and whoever's close to you. You won't know how to tell them because your emotional state is not even there,
Mm,
not there at all.
right.
So I'm sure when she found out, yes, she found out fairly early, but it was it was early but late in a sense. I know that sounds weird, sounds confusing, but when you if you've gone through it, you understand because early could be late in a sense,
Right.
or late could be too late. The time frame ramps up when it comes to metastatic. Metastatic meaning it's pretty much terminal, pretty much.
Mm,
It's going to be there. So there may be times of remission where there was at one point. There may be times where things are going to be really rough. Chemo's going to be rough. Treatments are going to be rough. And she went through that the last 2 years. And yeah, it was pretty tough. It's pretty tough on all of us.
I'm sure.
And when she started, how I found out was I was on my lunch break and I said at my job and I said, um, she hit me with a text, an instant message saying, "No matter what happens to me, just always know that I love you and I wanted the best for you." I'm like, what are you talking about? You talking crazy. You're feeling good. Are you do you know something I don't know?
Yeah.
Like, look, stop talking like that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
I was in denial. I was because she wasn't telling me anything.
Yeah.
She wasn't saying anything. So I'm like, Ma, stop talking crazy. What's up? Okay. Are you having a bad day? What's happening? And then
Yeah.
she just wouldn't go into detail. And
Mm,
I'm like, wait, she sounded like something could be wrong health wise. This sounds like something could be wrong health wise. But
mm,
I didn't want to speak that up, even though I already had. But like the way she sounds as if there's something really wrong here, like
mm,
there's a health issue of some sort. So she didn't tell me. So I said, all right, I'm going to leave it to the side, keep pushing, do my regular everyday routine. Then I found out about a month or two later that she told me it was stage 3 at that point when it
mm.
already had been stage 4
Oh, wow.
already. She downplayed it because as strong of a woman she is,
Mm,
she didn't want us to be worried and freaking out or, just uh, trying to get in this mental preparation, even though we really needed to be honest.
yeah. Yeah.
We
Of
needed
course.
mental preparation. So now fast forwarding again. So she rung the bell a few times, great news. And then she was good for a long time. Hair was coming back, all of that. And in one of the pictures back here, you'll actually see we were on a Zoom and with the family. It was my daughter, my younger brother Jared, and her, along with myself. And that picture's coming up in a little bit. But she grew the hair back. And I was like,
Mm,
yes, we're looking at remission. We're looking at remission. Come on. She always kept saying she wanted 25 years. 25 years. I want 25 more years. All right, look, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Let's find a way to get you your 25 years.
right.
Because or more. Let's go 25 or more. Let's do that. And so we kept pushing, and then matter of fact, she had finished one round of chemo, and then she went into a surgery to remove a block from her chest.
Mm,
And then it was found out that it was starting to grow again. And this is
wow.
2021, so it started to grow again,
Right.
right? So there's that picture right there. There's that zoom. You see
Right. Right. I
her
see
hair
it.
is coming back. So now that picture, Mother's Day, that was the last time that she actually had enough energy to get up and go and really be phenomenally well. Like, hey, all right, we actually celebrated Mother's Day a week early last week, and we were not last week, but last year, because we knew that she was going into chemo the week of Mother's Day. She was going
Gotcha.
into a second round of chemotherapy. Now, talking about that, right? So we do the Mother's Day thing at the Melting Pot, the fondue restaurant. First time experience for everybody except her. So the last thing she did with all of us in person was take us to the fondue restaurant where we had a first time experience with that. And wow, hey, she showed us something new. She always took the time out to find something new for us to experience, and that was new for all of us.
Just being a parent. It's
Yeah, right,
like parents usually would do for their kids.
right. So in that picture, myself, with her, myself, my younger brother Jared, and my brother Jarvis, also my business partner, in that photo. We all took the time to experience that fresh and new, because after that we never got that chance again, unfortunately. So now, fast forwarding, we get to about August, right? First week of August, she has a seizure. And well, before that, at the beginning of the week, the weekend before, her condo got flooded from top down. So something was flooding at the top, and it trickled all the way down from unit to unit to unit and got all the way to her unit and messed everything up. And she was displaced for a little bit. Okay. Then after that, so it's like everything went downhill first week of August. She had a seizure. She never had a seizure before. She went into the hospital for the remainder of the week. I called to check on her on my 15-minute break. Here I go at the job again.
Right.
15-minute break. Call to check on her, see if she was all right. And because I didn't know she was in the hospital, but she told me the news. And she said, Robert, I've been in a hospital for the overnight for the last day or so. She ended up being in there the rest of the week. And she said, the diagnosis that came back is that the cancer has hit the brain. Now, when the cancer has hit the brain, that is your time. That's the clock that starts to run about how long you have to live. She knew before that incident happened. She had days where she couldn't stand up and walk. She needed a walker to walk. And knowing the strong woman she is, she don't want to be seen in no walker.
Right.
She don't want to be seen in no walker. You're like, cause she would have felt like she was getting old. No, cause she was still in her 50s. She said, I'm alive and kicking. I can still do my Mary J. Blige dance if I want to. No, the grim reality is that no, you can't, because your legs, you didn't have enough energy to even stand up at a time. That's when things were mellowing out and what have you. There was a lot of things that we didn't know. Because she didn't want to tell us. She didn't want us worried. She didn't want us running around like chickens with heads cut off or anything like that. And then my uncle and my cousin, which they pop up on that screen as well. My cousin Crystal, older cousin, and my uncle Stan actually went to the hospital to see her the Saturday before everything really took the turn for the worse. And for those who may be watching in like North Carolina and Charlotte area, you know that she was a prominent contributor to the jazz community, smooth jazz. So she put together a lot of these concerts, a lot of the prominent concerts like Gerald Albright and Najee, Gerald Beasley, and artists like that. And I want to if they just so happen to tune in and tap in, I want to thank them for their love and support of the jazz diva over the last 15 plus years, that she has made the Carolinas a premier spot for jazz artists now. So that means Charlotte, Columbia, because it didn't just stay in Charlotte. It was Charlotte, Columbia, Charleston, and she did other spots around the Carolinas, the Charlotte Metro. So yeah, I mean, she did that. She has a legacy, and those artists valued her legacy. The late great Al Jarreau, one of his last concerts before he passed was with her, and they shared such a moment that was captured in one great picture, and it's not up there, but it's so amazing how it panned out. They're just looking at each other in just awe and just admiration for the work that was done. And I couldn't speak any better. But now they had so now my uncle cousin have a conversation.
Right.
And then they leave the overnight downhill. It just crashed. Something went wrong overnight to where I guess our late grandmother said, all right, you had the conversations. You told everybody you had these conversations. All right, it's time to go. You're coming with me. And that is when things happen. So here I am. It seemed like every time I get to the full-time job, something happens. This one was absolutely real. And it was the gut check of a lifetime that my cousin calls and says, you need to get here. Like, it was a sense of urgency in her voice saying, forget work, you need to be here.
Right.
Like, ASAP. I don't care how long it take you, just get here.
Right.
And then I get explained about what happened overnight and this, that, and the third. And yeah, it got real fast. So I'm in the middle of a team meeting, a team huddle, and I tell them, hey, look, I'm sorry. Hey, look, yeah, just keep your prayers and everything. I have to leave. The job will run without me. I gotta go. And I told my supervisor, hey, look, you got me. You know what's happening. You've known for months what's happening, and I think that time is here. So yeah, just you got me. I gotta go. And so I left out, and then my brother had to come from Tuskegee, Alabama, so he had to drive an hour to get to me, and then I drove pretty much the rest of the way. And we got to Charlotte. We got to the hospital at 11:11. Now, how iconic is that? We got there 11:11 into the parking garage. Our parking ticket said 11:11 on it. So we kind of knew what was happening there. We got in. Our Uncle Stan meets us down at the bottom floor and takes us up. We get up to the 5th floor, and she's the only one on the wing that is screaming and hollering, Ma, mommy. I'm like, I can't get that out of my head. Can't, because that's the last image I have of her even saying anything. She wasn't even coherent enough to say, Robert Jarrett, I love you. She just kept saying, Ma, like the cries out, when it's time.
Yeah.
Those cries out that I don't want to be in pain anymore. Those cries out of I'm trying to hold on so I can see y'all one last time before I take my last breath. Well, she held on all day long. And then the final breath came. I would we all in the room said before midnight it took place, but it was it was marked at 12:01 a.m. So we are embarking upon
This was August.
this was November. We are
No,
embarking upon a week
November.
where we are going into the Thanksgiving holiday that
Oh wow.
Thursday. Yeah, it was November 22nd, November 23rd. We are
Wow.
embarking upon a Thanksgiving holiday, and we have to deal with this.
Mm.
So then I get through Thanksgiving holiday, and then I'm like, okay, I'm grieving in bits and pieces, but I'm still kind of pushing forward. And then I get through the memorial service in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We do it virtually, similar to how we've got going right now. And the overwhelming love and prayers that took place that day were phenomenal. Then the next day it was my brother Jared's birthday, December 15th. Then 10 days later, you got to go through Christmas. And then another 7 days later, you got to go through New Year's.
Mm.
I didn't have a chance to sit down and really hone in until New Year's. And I felt like I kind of isolated myself a little bit. I shouldn't have done it because I have people behind me, phenomenal people that are 150% about my well-being. And I didn't respond to none of them. I was
Mm.
just in my space.
Right. But
I
sometimes
was
you need
trying to
that
find a
though.
way to grieve.
Mm. Let me unpack like a couple of things real quick.
Yeah.
Number one, that so all this time, no, we still in a pandemic, so they actually let you guys or you guys in the hospital. It wasn't because like she was actively dying. They let you guys in, like, or how did that work? Because I know people, depending on where you were in the country or what have you, they wouldn't let people visit family in the hospital because of COVID restrictions and things of that nature.
So and one and I want to just say once again much appreciation to Novant Health Presbyterian Hospital in Charlotte. They allowed for not just my uncle Stan to be in the room, but for the two of us to be in the
Mm,
room as well, because we were the ones that needed to make the decision collectively. We were initially there for her to go to hospice care.
gotcha.
We were supposed to make that decision, and that's what we were really there for. But everything else happened,
Right.
and that's how we ended up in there. And they didn't mind us as long as we were masked up, and it was later in the evening, so they really didn't mind, and we were pretty spaced out. We knew the rules and regulations, but they
Okay.
still let us in. But the purpose of us going there was initially to make a decision on whether to put her in hospice care or not.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And the other thing is, no, we don't talk us black and brown folks. We don't talk about death and dying and that at all unless things happen and things happen real fast. So we got to make tough decisions of what
Yeah.
we're doing with our loved ones that they're on their pretty much their deathbed and and having to make a a, a, a life or death kind of life or death decision, like mentioning, hospice. Now, hospice is not an easy decision either. Like
Oh, it's not.
no, pulling a plug or anything like that. Like it's not a easy decision whatsoever. So for your mom to kind of like downplay like her illness just so for you guys not to worry, where you guys really should be having, conversations like this is what's happening. Like let's start making arrangements or even like however like funeral how like just having all of those conversations, whether there's life insurance policies involved, like what does that look like and how to pay. Like it's just a lot of things to unpack there that is not talked about in our communities at all.
It is. It is. And it's tough. Even the business after is tough. I mean, it took me until the weekend prior to your interview in order for me to really have any type of final somewhat closure in a sense.
Mm,
And I didn't have time to sit and grieve because the business has to be run, a
mm,
radio station has to be operated, a full-time job has to be maintained because the bread and butter got to be in order for me to keep a roof over my head. I was advised, the one thing that I was told before her passing was, she said, you need time to grieve. I'm not saying don't grieve, but keep going.
mm,
And so that's what I did, but I did it backwards.
right.
And grieving in bits and pieces is not the way to go. Everybody has I can't tell anybody how to grieve or what their methods are of grieving, but me grieving in bits and pieces never worked for me. And I found myself, just constantly just existing in a sense.
Mm,
I felt like my purpose was nothing without her. You see what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And, we tend to feel that way sometimes when you lose the rock.
No,
And
of course.
yeah, that's how it was for me. It took me a long time to get over my late grandmother in 2008,
Mm,
who passed of the same exact thing.
mm,
It took me a long time to get over that, and now it's like, okay, yeah, I could talk about her without shedding tears, all the time. It was, and now it's come to a point where, you know we didn't have a mental preparation then. We had a mental preparation now, so we knew, but we wanted more years.
right, of course.
So, everybody wants more years with their mother. I mean, she brought you into this world. She could
Yeah.
also take you out too, but that's a whole different story,
Yes, yes, of course.
But that's the other part about it, just, as you see the images of life and speaking life behind me, this speaks to everything that, the um, legendary mission that she had, the legendary everything that she did. And I always use this quote, be legendary in 3D. And I said
Mm,
this at the memorial service because you have to, when you talk about her, you have to spell legend in 3Ds at the end. The dedication, determination, and discipline that goes into everything that she did, because it took a lot and there was a lot of stress there, but she kept going. And she even worked shows from the hospital bed too. She worked concerts from the hospital bed.
oh man.
Nothing stopped her. And that is the legacy that she left. And she hands that torch over to me that I can pass on to my daughter as
Mm,
she
gotcha.
continues to elevate in life. So, yeah, tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough to go into a new year without your mother always. And
No, that's so real because I remember having conversations with my mom like November, December 2019 before you know, shit hit the fan with the pandemic of
right,
like having these conversations of starting to plan a possibility of me even moving to Delaware and really bringing both my parents, but at worst, my mom come live with me and like, what do you think about moving and stuff like that? And once you get out the nursing home, we get you home, and then like we start thinking and planning or looking at houses and making sure you have like your own space and
right,
make sure we get a house. And if you want to like split the mortgage or however you want to do it, like, we think about that afterwards, but just start planning of leaving like New York City, and having those conversations, and having those conversations, with my dad, and then like literally months later, May comes, and beginning of May, like the week before Mother's Day, boom, she's gone, and having like that phone call 5 o'clock in the morning, and then having like to like start planning. Like I didn't have a service, for her. Like I just decided just to have her, cremated, and go on to the
Yeah. Here.
funeral home to get the remains. And like remember how like walking down the street, like they gave me a string bag and with a box with her remains in it, and like they put her on my back, and like walking past the nursing home that she was in, and like and like kind of like, well, literally, like I like gave like raised my middle finger up, and I kind of felt her give like the middle finger, her give the middle finger to the nursing home too, because we didn't she didn't like her experience there, and the nursing home was not like the very best, and like
Yeah, that definitely comes up after a while. And
so
I'm still dealing with that. I don't even have the urn yet because and that's another trip that I'm gonna have to make, which will yet again provide another sense of that closure. It's another chapter in the book. It wasn't ready. The urn was not ready for us, or ready for me when I visited just 2 weeks ago.
mm,
So that was the thing. And so once
that's
it
a
is ready, it's gonna be hard.
yeah. And I knew, and that's something I didn't want the urn in the house, and neither did my dad. So it was like, all right, like I literally grabbed the box, like I got just so my dad, like I got, I got the ashes, and he didn't ask me like where it was, or he wasn't like looking for it. I literally just stashed the box away in on the closet, and like when I finally moved to Delaware, like I was it's still in the same string box, with like that they gave me. It was in there, and I didn't bury the ashes until the week before Thanksgiving, 2021. That was kind of like the beginnings of like my closure, because I didn't have a memorial service, or any type of service whatsoever. Like I had thought about kind of spreading her ashes, in Coney Island, only because like there I have a picture of like my parents, like my mom was pregnant with me, and they were on the beach at Coney Island. So I thought about like kind of like a full circle moment of like, all right, like all right, I was in your belly, we were in Coney Island. Now like me like spread some of the ashes, but I didn't want to like it's like 2 hours from from me living in the Bronx all the way to Coney Island, and to do all that in a pandemic with no car, like to go there. Like I wasn't trying to like do all that. And so let me just bring her ashes to Delaware. She's literally like now like down the street from my house, that I could just, if I wanted to, walk and see her like every day if I wanted to. And, like
Right.
she's close by, and I was gonna tell her I was gonna bring you to Delaware one way or another. Like I wish it was in ways the physical being instead of like the spiritual being, but that's still like my grief and stuff that I'm still like now like trying to process while doing like a million and one things that I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting. There was one, and I remember when you came on my show, The Morning Machine. I want to thank you for coining the phrase "embrace your reset."
Yes.
That resonated. That continues to resonate with me now. One thing that I said on the show was that, huh, you know what? That's exactly what I'm doing right now. It made me think. It made me think. It made me think of it to a point where the motivational moment of the day that I do with Shanice every morning to start the day, we talked about that the next day.
Mm.
And last week, last Friday, I had to remind people to embrace their reset. Like a lot of people that I've come across now, and then I said, you're embracing your reset. They're like, ooh, I never thought of it like that. And I tell them I got it from you.
I
No, for
appreciate
real,
that.
because that you have to find a way to embrace your reset. The reset for me was going back to her place by myself in an effort to go ahead and clean out her place before the new owners take over, which
Mm.
they'll be taking over basically the next day, February 1. So today was the last day for anybody to turn in the keys to the fob and hand it on over, so they could go get in there and fix everything and sell it, either sell it or lease it to somebody. So
Right.
we were able to get that done in that weekend, and I was able to cry it out. But when I walked in there, it had snowed too in Charlotte that night. I walked in 25-degree weather to get it. It's just a couple of blocks, but when you're walking through snow and Tim's, you're trying not to slip and slide.
Yes, absolutely.
So a 10-minute walk is a 30-minute walk easily in snow where
Yes.
the temperatures are already below freezing. So I'm like, don't slip, because you're gonna feel it in the well, it's already morning. You're gonna feel it later. So I said, all right. So I was trying not to slip. So I made it. So I made it over there, got in, and I just kind of took it all in. It was quiet. And that's what it needed to be. It needed to be peaceful and quiet for a
Mm.
second. And I was walking around. I'm like, you know what? I just got to thinking. I just took a moment to just stop. And I was like, wait a minute. She's not coming behind me in this door.
Mm.
She not coming out this bathroom. She not coming out her room. She's not coming out the other bathroom. And she's definitely not in the kitchen, because I clearly see she's not in the kitchen. She's not in the office, because she had a little office. She had a little office space and whatnot. It was a 2-bedroom spot, but she had made the other bedroom, the smaller bedroom, her home office. Well, she's not. She's not on the patio. And then I just stand there, and it hits me.
Mm.
It hit me hard. And
Mm.
I mean, you talking about, a lot of people call it the ugly cry. Oh yeah, the red eye cry
Mm.
happened. Like it was just like coming to grips with, you're not going to come out of any of these rooms. It's just me standing here. You're here in spirit.
Yeah.
Kind of like that reminder. I did that with my late grandmother, going back to Philadelphia, West Oak Lane, and going back to her home, the corner house where I grew up. And I did that then, but I didn't cry then.
Mm.
I didn't have a chance to. You see what I mean? Because it had
Yeah.
been like 5 years removed. So it was like 2013. I went back to West Oak Lane, and I walked all around the house, and I was just like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. And then I just kind of got to sit there and reflect for a little minute. You know,
Yeah.
it's a grim reminder, but it's a reminder.
Yeah.
So I
You.
revisited that with her condo. This
Mm.
time I poured it all out because I needed to. Found a picture of her with the Team Tam Tribe shirt on. You see a couple of them pictures back there too. Um, I found the one picture we had of her left. I took it, put it here, and it was like just not. It just kept going, just pouring it all out. And then I put it in her bed, on her side of the bed, and then I slept with her picture on her side of the bed. That was part of the closure for me.
Mm.
Now, an interesting thing happened. The rest of the weekend, the weather was phenomenal, cold, but not a cloud in the sky. So I open up the drapes the next morning, her light just shines in. And I mean all the way through. Like, wow, what a bright day today. And then it was a carbon copy the next day. So I'm like, that's when, and I got another little cry out before I left. I'm like, dang, I'm not gonna be coming back here again. Somebody
Yeah,
else is really gonna be taking over this place. That's when it hits you. Come back here, I hit the reset button. And now I'm embracing, as you said, I'm embracing
mm,
that reset by walking in a phenomenal journey that has me elevating, but at a different pace though
right,
than
of
what
course.
others would think as a business owner.
No, of course, no, of course. Like I, us talking really kind of like I've been like in a funk with work. Like I knew work has been like working in the school. I knew was going to be like insane because of the pandemic and kids are coming back, in person for the first time. Many of them for the first time in a
Right.
year and a half. But to actually see it day in day out, I'm like, this is it's insane. It's like I like getting more gray by by the day,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah. These
and
popping up.
today
Yeah.
and to like today, like my kiddos were because it snowed, like the kids were like virtual today, and it's like, and I still had a rough day. I'm like, I did not see that one kid, and just based on emails and paperwork, my day was still stressful. So like, but then again, I guess the stress kind of hits me more, and I was like, I kind of think, is this like work stress, or this is like my body telling me I never like grieve properly?
Mhm.
And so on top of the stress, I'm like feeling like even more stress because I never like fully gave like myself the grace to really grieve properly,
Right.
and it's kind of like subconscious, like you need to sit somewhere and like really like grieve instead of like half-assing it like you've been doing like
Right.
these last going on 2 years. So like even when I buried my mom's ass, it was like, all right, person did the job, like took the little spot and like kind of like put the patch of grass and like was literally done like 10-15 minutes, and I was like, all right, ma, see you. Like walked out of the cemetery like nothing, and like my fiance was like, "You did what?" And like I told you I was gonna bury that. I didn't think you actually gonna do it. And she like got so upset at me because it's like because she wanted like to be there with me. Like, how you did that like by yourself for like nothing. Like that's something like big and like you did, and like I wanted to be there for you. Like I did it, it's done. Like what you want me to tell you. So it's like I guess you gotta listen to your body, and like that's something that we don't talk about that in our community either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, and it's a conversation that's worth having, especially as it pertains to grief, and that explains why we're on right now, because there are many different ways. Like I said, this is not an episode where we're telling you how to grieve or anything like that. Everybody has their own process. Everybody has their own ways of getting the closure that they need, but yeah, just for
Yeah,
me, in a sense, it just stems by the quote that you've said, and I continue to say many times, you just have to find a way to embrace your reset, which is where it comes in when you hit that reset. When is it that you hit the reset button? Matter of fact, let me ask you. I know you're interviewing me, but I have to ask you the question since we're having a conversation. When was that moment where you hit your reset button?
oh man, I I don't know if I fully hit the button hit all the way down yet.
Wow, it's like halfway mashed, but it's like kind of
Yeah,
pulled up.
Yeah, it's like a button that's broken on like a PS4 or like a remote control that's like pushed in all the way that doesn't work anymore.
PS4 though. I feel you though. I feel you.
Because like I said, like it was literally the day before Thanksgiving, like or like 2 days before Thanksgiving, and it's literally like 15 minutes. Guy was there waiting for me. Like I had the ashes, like put it in the ground. He covered it up, and I walked it like just stone faced and like, I'm gonna see you like later, and like I know you're here. I could come back anytime to come see you, and I walked out like nothing. Like it was just like it was. I took it as like a goal of 2021 that okay, it's been long enough for you to be in a freaking box. Like let me like take you out of this book bag, string book bag, like finally bury you, and like that's it. I took it as like a goal of 2021 completed more than like fully like embracing like I just like finally put her ashes in the ground for eternal peace. Like and that didn't even like really cross my mind or let myself like have that or anything like that. So I know like coming up, almost in February and or in February, and I gotta give up, finally giving up the keys to my apartment in the Bronx because that's it. Like,
Mhm.
and that'll be the final closing chapter of me living in the Bronx and like
Yeah.
the apartment where like she took her last like coherent breaths in and like
Yeah.
me and like everything like having like the kids move in with me in that apartment and just like had like the first time I like had sex in that apartment like at all is just like all
Right.
these different things like that life experiences and like you know having like my now fiance like stay in my apartment with me like we spent like New Year's Eve together, like after days after me having like my appendix removed, and like she stayed with me to make sure I was okay, and I was still like in so much pain, and like there's all these different memories that come about. That's like a
Right.
chapter is closing regarding giving up those keys to that apartment. So it just takes time, like I really like I know she's gone like no, you mentioned like her screams like is etched in your mind forever. Like mine, the pitch. Like I had to identify mom's body. They gave me two choices, and it's in my book. It's either text the picture or email the picture of when
Wow.
they identified her body.
Wow.
So like the coroner was like, we identified the body. We want to make sure that it's her. Can you identify her? Do you want the picture be texted to you or email it to you? I was like, I definitely don't want it in a text. Like,
Yeesh. Boy.
and when I saw that picture,
You with
and,
that one. Yeesh.
and when I saw the picture, like I like literally was like almost like was about to faint. Because luckily, I was already sitting down, like and like literally checking the email on my phone. It was like I'm about to pass out. Like tell my son, like you better get me some water, like right now. He's like poor thing. Ran to the kitchen, grabbed me some water. Like I was like, and then he ran to my girl's bedroom. Was like, I don't think Dad is feeling well. We go check on him. And like, and she
Mm.
like, what happens? Like I just like identified like mom's body. It's like, oh snap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's I ooh, I couldn't even imagine if
and this is all because of COVID, by the way.
happened like
So
that. I could not imagine. Mm-mm. Ooh. To have to identify right there, and then let alone you have to identify via text or email. Like, uh,
So I still got that email. I haven't looked at that picture. There's no need for me to look in the picture, but definitely still have that email. Like that's like starred in my email, and so it's that's already ingrained in my head for forever.
I think the one thing that, and you said it's going to be tough when you go back to the Bronx. Yes, it is, because it was tough for me to go back to my mom's place in Charlotte. It was very tough to do that and think that, and sit here and think that, oh, I'm just here. I'm just doing this. No, the mission was to get closure. I had to really sit and reflect in order to close the chapter. And you said you hadn't fully closed it yet. The reset button is halfway mashed down, but the button's stuck like a PS4 controller. So I get it. I get it. And that's where it was for me until I hit the place. And I think for you, that might be it right there, because you have to go to the spot where you last seen her alive, coherent, and where you shared that final memory. And it definitely beats the text. It beats the email. It beats
Mhm.
the Zoom, because we had family Zooms all the time, but it was that in-person interaction. I know, COVID, get it,
Yeah,
all the way get it. But that last memory you had where you can hug her and really say to her face, I love you, that is the moment right there. Where
mhm,
you take that in. That was the last in-person moment that we had prior to um her passing, which, yes, months ahead. However, she wasn't well enough for us to be seeing her like that, and COVID,
mhm.
COVID, COVID.
Right.
We get it. So that said, um, we had to take that moment into consideration. And we had so many laughable moments. And, it was our first time at that restaurant. And, it was just like, at a fondue restaurant, you gotta boil your own stuff. So I'm like, oh, they don't bring us the food. Oh, okay. So here we are, we're getting the raw food, and we're like, Robert, you gotta really put some umph into this, man. We just stick it to it. And I took the utensil, stuck it in there, and then it would just slip off. I'm like, all right, look, I'm done. Just come on, you'll figure this out. I'm just gonna do one at a time from now on. And then it was just like that. And I'm like, it was the laughable moments that we all shared that felt good. And the last moments that we saw her really coherent, watching TV, all of this stuff, and she found the energy to get up and go out with us to celebrate Mother's Day a week early. That's going to be, I'll tell you this, the next time I ugly cry is going to be Mother's Day. I can guarantee that. And I think that speaks for everyone who has
Yeah,
lost their mother on, at any time. Mother's Day is that extra time of reflection that you're going to have, because
yeah,
that day is going to be absolutely tough.
yeah.
You already know going into the day that it's going to be tough,
Mhm.
which is why my coping mechanisms, so that way it's going to happen. Let's be honest. It's going to happen. It's going to happen for both of us, naturally speaking. And we're going to have our moment that day, at least, right?
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, we're better off because we have our ways of therapy. We have our ways of it being, therapeutic. Like, radio's my therapy. So I enjoy doing the radio, right?
right.
What I did was, not only, so May 20, Mother's Day 2020, when she was, alive, well, and, we were thinking in remission, she was well enough, but overslept. And she did a Mother's Day interview with us. That was like the first few months that my morning show, the morning machine was in existence.
Mm,
So what better way than to really, it was actually first few days actually, because Mother's Day came within 2 weeks of us launching the show. And so what better way to do that than to have your own mom come on your show?
yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
she talked about the breast cancer journey. She talked about all of that. And she talked about how important it is to get checked and, really hone in on your health and this, that, and the third. She went on, and I was emotional then, because I knew what she was dealing with. I was emotional then, and I gave her flowers while I could on the air, live to everybody, to the world. And I kept a snippet of that where she says, "Good morning, Mr. Green Jeans." She called me Mr. Green Jeans all the time. So I have the segment of that as now a sound bite that I'll play at the top of every hour of my morning show, to wake people up, where she's saying, "Good morning, Mr. Green Jeans." I'll say, before we start the day, or before we go into the day, a phenomenal woman has something to say, and she'll say, "Good morning, Mr. Green Jeans."
Yeah, that's
And I'll say,
beautiful.
"Good morning, Mom," in the spirit, and right here on earth and in radio land everywhere. That's how I would say it, because I know that I can hear her voice at least once or twice, or maybe even three times out of that morning.
Mm,
That helps me get through. And then just the other night, last night to be exact, I had my daughter record something for me, here in the studio. So now I have the two most important women in my life.
mm,
I can hear their voices on the broadcast, and that helps me continue to get through things and grow through it all.
nice.
Because had I not done that, I'm like, okay, so what do I do now? Her
Right.
picture is actually up in the studio to on this side here. I'll actually turn it a bit so you can see. There she is up there. Her picture's up there. So every time anybody walks in the studio, she'll understand that um, her presence is felt all the time. And that's how we operate around here. That's what we do.
Yeah,
So, but
that's
that
that's
helps me
amazing.
cope with a lot of things.
Mhm.
A lot of people will fall into depression after that.
No, no, of course, I
Uh-uh.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had a couple friends who like really like gone through like the pressure and after their mom's passed, and it's like how and they and like, hey, you still here, you still kicking it, like that's a strength. Like how do you and just ask like how you doing, how you like wake up every day and do what you need to do what you have to do. Sometimes like you said earlier, like it's just on autopilot, and other times it's just I ain't got a choice. Like I got to put food on the table and I got to pay
Right.
bills, and there's other
Fact.
times like there's like something else, no no some no anything else that will like come in and just do it. Like you still got no, if you're self-aware enough. That's why I try to be self-aware in terms of like things that I still want to do for myself and for my family, want to leave a legacy. And you mentioned Mother's Day, like yet I use Mother's Day yet to take time out to grieve a little bit, but at the same time I still have a fiance who's been like my rock, that's helped me with my two little ones as their stepmom. Is like, okay, I gotta celebrate like her and thank her for everything that she done. So like I can't be grieving like all day. Like I got no more. I wake up and like, all right, let me like take a little time out, whatever, and say Happy Mother's Day, and like I got the rest of the day like to celebrate a great woman, and whatever we doing like with her, like her mom, and if we do something with her mom, and like we celebrate the day. So just try to be conscious like of that. Like even like my own birthday, like my first birthday with without moms. Oh man, that was not. that was not a good day for me. Like
Yeah, that's coming around in about a month for me too. I don't know how I'm gonna react there, but I think I'll be more fine then than I will be Mother's Day and her birthday.
yeah,
That's
her
where the
birthday.
difference
Yes.
maker is going to be, and the holidays more than likely.
Good thing my mom was not a big holiday person. She was always like stressed out to like buy presents and wasn't always like there was a couple years we didn't even have a tree, like just because we didn't have a space, not even for like a little tree. My dad would buy like a small ass little tree, but
Right.
that's really just to have something in the house. But my mom was not a big holiday person. So the holidays are like, all right, this is the holidays, like, all right,
Yeah.
it's here. Like I was like, all right, like it's really about the kids and and just get through the day. So
Right.
it is what it is for me. So it's just her birthday, like a little bit my birthday, definitely Mother's Day. The is like, and then like kind of like once April hits, because I knew like just April, like everything like went like downhill in April, from April going into like Mother's Day, and then like June is all right. Like, like Father's Day is kind of like a hit or miss because I would get a phone call, be like, "Hey, happy Father's Day." Like, I know I'm not getting that phone call, or I'm not getting
Yeah, to be
a Father's Day
responsible.
card.
Yeah,
Um,
forgot about that.
yeah, so then like that's when the first birthday without her that year 2020 was like she ain't calling me. Like this is not this is like my first birthday like without her. Like when I turned 21, like my grandfather had passed away. So she had to go to PR. So that was like the first time not physically like there with me, but she still called me from PR like, hey, happy birthday. So like, but the first birthday without that was not fun.
Yeah, it's never fun, and I have to realize that. Yeah, that may be the interesting part about my birthday, though, is that when it comes around March and about a month and a half from now, uh, yeah, that is the part where it's going to hit me. It's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. You know what I mean? But you never really forgot. But it's like,
Yeah.
dang, that's right. Yeah, you can't text. It's not here. And then
Mhm.
that's when it hits. And I get, I definitely get that. And you know, it's first year, first this is the first few months, and we're like literally month number 3. Well, yeah, about 2.5 out removed from the passing, and it's still fresh,
Mhm. No, of
still very
course.
much
It's
fresh. But I have to continue to move in excellence, and really, I hit a reset button, but that doesn't mean I forgot.
no, of course, it's still so fresh. And your full-time job, how many bereavement days they gave you?
8.
I'm jealous, man.
No, because I had to fight for them.
Ah,
I didn't get paid for them.
oh,
I
that
didn't get paid.
sucks.
They gave them to me because they knew the magnitude of the situation, because it was broken up by the holiday.
Mm,
It,
gotcha.
it was a bit of a blessing
Why?
too, because it was bereavement day one. They it was the bereavement day one, when the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then you had the holiday, but I
Nice.
wasn't off Friday, so I took that day, and then I came back the I actually took the following Monday and Tuesday off after that too, because
Mm,
I was like, how you going to expect me to come back to work after all of this? This is my mother here. Y'all going to
exactly.
run without me. So please, I don't want to hear none of that.
Yeah, gotcha.
So,
No.
when it comes to the rock, the matriarch, the love, you know what I'm saying? When you only have one mom,
No, of
you
course.
really think we going to grieve in 24 hours? Come on, if a company really expects for us as human beings to grieve about our mother, the person who gave us life and brought us into this world, right? In 24 hours, they're sadly mistaken and they have no sensitivity. None.
No, no, of
Which
course.
means they're more about the money rather than the care of the workers that are making the bread and butter for them. And we have to really watch that carefully because there's a lot of employers that don't care. Luckily enough, I was blessed to have a team of supervisors who understood for a couple of years that this has been happening, and they've stuck by me, so they knew they were in the journey with me, and they knew, and when they knew it all.
Mm,
Everything that was going on, they knew when it was time, and they went back when I uh and we don't call it an obituary. We don't call it an obituary because an obituary, kind of leads to more sad thoughts and this, that, and the third. So the way we created the program, shout out to once again my brother Jarvis for doing this. He created a phenomenal, and I mean absolutely phenomenal, um, what is normally known as an obituary. It's called a magazine because if you call it a magazine about her life and legacy, as an iconic figure in the Carolinas and what she did for the community, you think happy thoughts when you think of it as a magazine about her life, not the
mm,
traditional obituary where you got to be sad and every time you look at it, it's got to be sad. If it's a home going, then if it's a celebration, then let's make it a magazine. Let's celebrate for real.
right,
Like
I
she's
like
the
that.
cover story, and the whole magazine is about her. Yeah, it made sense to do, and it was a phenomenal design, and loved every bit of it. And we all worked together to accomplish, a lot of greatness in that. And like I said, even from a virtual standpoint, doing a memorial service on Zoom here, yeah, it was still tough. Like everybody was in the room with you
Mm,
because you still had to really say goodbye.
right.
You had to say goodbye. I mean, it's tough enough to just say that word and have to speak in past tense now.
Yeah, in past
The mental
sentences.
preparation of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I brought up the bereavement leaves because I'm a strong advocate that these companies, not just in social work, but just in this society, in this country as a whole, like really needs to change bereavement laws
Yeah.
to you can't grieve a loved one and like give 3, 4, 5 days and just grieve and like you got to come back come back to work and it's like is crazy. It's like
It's impossible, and it's almost like you're being told how to grieve and
right,
for how many days you should be grieving for. What? That doesn't make any sense. How do you tell a human being, "Oh, well, if the CEO can grieve for 5 days, then you can too." No, we're all human beings. We grieve differently. Not
exactly.
everybody grieves the same. We understand the needs of the business. However, please, if you want us to work at our full capacity, like we were before the passing and before everything started going downhill, then you give us the time we need. Give us the time that we need and pay us for that time too, because we didn't ask for that to happen.
Right.
We didn't ask for that to happen. You only pay like 3 days out of, in my situation, you only pay 3 days out of 8.
Mm,
So now I have to be missing money from a roof over my head because of
yeah.
my mother's passing. So I have to miss that.
Yeah.
Why? Why should I do that? And I like the fact that you're a strong advocate for that, because that is something that really needs to change, like ASAP. Because you can't, a company can't tell you when and how long to grieve. We're human beings.
Like,
Okay, you the CEO. How do you grieve? How long did it take for you to get over your mother? Well, my mother's still here. Well, blessings to you, but my mother isn't. So you're telling me I have 5 days to grieve, or else I'm not getting paid?
yeah,
Doesn't sit well with a lot of employees, and
mm,
that's how you lose employees like that, especially in a
exactly.
state where COVID is still rampant and people are, either getting fired, they're getting surplused, they're getting consolidated, this,
Mm.
that, and the third. It's happening to us all. And
People
there's
just leaving and be like, fuck it, like I could get unemployment and just like and just like not bother with the job, like you be disrespectful. I mean, like with bereavement, like I'm grieving. I just lost somebody due to COVID. Like I
right.
can't be coming to work. I'm out.
Like I'm not thinking about work right now. Like,
Yeah.
why would I be thinking about work when I just lost a parent?
Hmm.
And then let alone think about the person who's lost both parents.
Yeah. Like I just lost the person who was watching my kids while I was working. Now I gotta be like at home, or I'll figure something out of what to do. Well,
Right.
who's picking up my kids from school? Who's going to be there while I'm at work?
I tell you, it's tough on everybody. And
Mm,
the thing is that, and it's like, even in my situation, a lot of people's situations, ain't nobody thinking about no full-time job.
mm,
If you don't give them a chance to grieve, you're gonna lose a good employee.
exactly.
You're gonna lose a best employee. You're gonna lose an employee that's helping you get your numbers.
Mm,
Like, I understand a business is a numbers game. I get it. But your best people that are helping you to get those numbers are going to fall by the wayside and excommunicate themselves from your company, because you did not allow them to the proper time. Instead of going by the book and these guidelines, you go. And luckily I'm in a union.
mm,
And I think that's the only reason why that bereavement time was approved. Let's keep it all the way a buck 50,000.
right.
I'm in a union. I pay my dues. And that is why I ended up getting those days. Did I get them paid? No. They warned me ahead of time of that. Cool. I get that. However, for the union standpoint, you know, we should also be in that fight for exactly what you're pushing for, is that, that bereavement leave where every day is paid, not just half, because we still have to maintain a way of life. We have to maintain our living situations. We're not going to be sitting here, because at that time, let's keep it yet again a buck 50. When my mom passed, that's the end of the month. You got about a week to make rent. I haven't been at work. So now
Mm,
what? And then you don't pay immediately on top of that. That's another thing. You don't pay immediately. You got to wait X amount of time. And when you wait X amount of time, you're left with not only a passing and grieving, but also the additional brick of uncertainty that's
right.
on your back now.
Right. Of
And that
course.
brick, as small as it is, feels like a big cinder block
Mm,
by the time it blows over. And it's like, all right, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm not thinking about all of this right now. There's so much going on. I just dealt with my mother's passing. What is happening? Like, and then it just feels like the bottom is dropping out.
mm,
I had that point at one time. which is why I took New Year's to just kind of, you know, breathe and be in a space away,
No,
kind of like away.
I think it's great that you took, you know, be, took that grace for yourself, for you to do that. Sometimes you just need to just be by yourself with nobody around. Like I just you just gotta like go through whatever process you need to go through, like just by yourself. And I think that's partly also why like I kind of like did the whole the burial of the ashes. Is just like it was just me, and like, and even though my fiance was upset, is like, but I'm your partner. We're gonna be like life partners, and it marriage later on this year. But it's like, yeah, at the same time, it was like you was there with me when I got the call, but at the same time, I just needed this to get done, and is done, and like that chapter is done, and like get ready to like finish writing the following chapter after that, and then just continue to build on that closure, and like I think about moms every day working in the schools, like how you did this for so long. Like I'm like counting down to the end of the school year. Like I can't. Like I might do one more year if necessary, but like this is like crazy. I don't know how
Trying
you
to
did it
step
for so
away
long.
from schools for a little bit and do something else. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, no, besides no the book and no the Zumba, and I'm already thinking about like I'm always a type of person that keep my options open,
Yeah,
and
as
see
well you
what
should.
and see what's out there, and like been like networking, and just like this things seem to like open up down the line. So I'm always just keeping my eyes open, and see what's out there.
And you're going to manifest that greatness. You're already doing that. I already see it. The next level is very, very soon, and even for myself, the next level is very, very,
Mm,
very soon for the both of us. And I'm just glad that I was able to have an outlet. This is the first time I've actually had an outlet to actually share my story with others and share this testimony of what I'm dealing with, and how it can help others, and how we can really be able to push for the bereavement policies and what have you to really be more of a benefit to us, the person that's actually going through it, rather than the one that is trying to tell you how to do it.
right.
And that's big. That is big for me. So I'm in the fight right with you. Let me know what's up, because I went through it, and I went through it. It was like super tough, trying to be able to juggle things at one time and still deal with the aftermath of, you still have to handle the business after her passing, the probate,
Mm.
the canceling of services, the canceling of bank accounts and
Oh
all
yeah.
this other stuff.
Contacted Social Security, and like
All of that, we got it's a whole
yeah,
bunch of business, but
that
thank
that's that's a,
goodness,
that's a full-time job in itself.
you're right.
Doing all that.
It's like a third full-time job. You right about that. Insurance and
Mm. Life
just
insurance policies,
so
if you have
all that.
one, and
Like it's just it's pure craziness. But at the end of the day, um, the one thing that I can say, like I said, blessed to have family and friends of the family who are able to really come together and make these common goals happen. And without them, I would be in a absolute wreck right now. Like, yeah, head on collision
mm,
wreck. So, yeah, I have to commend those folks on the job. Well done, and got me through a lot of things. Got all of us through a lot of things, and we couldn't ask for anything more.
right. Where where could people find you as we close out? this amazing
Yes.
topic.
Yes, absolutely. They can find us on 1026thesituation.com. Yep, once again, 1026thesituation.com, where you can hear us worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter where you are. And you can catch my show, The Morning Machine, waking you up every single morning, no matter where you are, yet again, around the world. It might be morning, it might be afternoon where you are in the world, but you'll be here with our show, and that's 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every morning with yours truly. And make sure to connect with us. I mean, we have a great radio station, 24/7, music and talk, and great segments such as Farmer Fridays with our beloved Farmer Wayne. Mindset Monday with Coach Jarvis, the motivational moment with Shanice. We get you up every morning, so it's a different morning show than what you're accustomed to. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can also follow us at 102.6 The Situation. As I always say during the morning, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is at Situations Radio, and also the Morning Machine Facebook and Instagram as well. You can get in our DMs. Don't be shy. We'll reply. You know how that goes. I say that every time when we do the birthday shout out. So you got me in the morning machine element right now. But also, most importantly, make sure to connect with us. We record podcasts and everything. We do, if you're in the Atlanta area, you have a studio right behind us where you can record your podcast, do what you need to do. So yeah, definitely connect with us. We are Situations Media Entertainment, where we all are family, and the family gets it done. So, if you ever come here, be prepared to welcome yourself home. All right. Oh, and by the way, beside the website, you can listen to the station on the TuneIn mobile app or TV app. So on your smart TV, you can listen to us on the TuneIn radio, the TV app, or you can do the mobile app. Or on some TVs, you have VTuner Internet Radio. You can also listen to us there. Or, like I said, links and website everywhere. So
Gotcha.
we are good, man. Man, phenomenal. Phenomenal. I got to
Yeah.
say that right now. And like I said, thank you for allowing me to come on your platform and really finally have the first conversation about all of this since her passing. And, I'm honored and privileged to do so on your platform.
That, again, my condolences to you and your family, as
Wow.
you guys are grieving, and like you have an ally, no, with me, in your journey, and by all means, let's stay in contact. And like I said, you got an ally in me, and by all means, like I'm a DM away, I'm an email away, phone call away. Like let's continue this conversation, and it's a forever journey until our time comes. It's we always gonna be
I hope not so soon either.
yeah, exactly. Like I
Exactly.
would,
Not so soon.
it's no, you definitely have an ally in me regarding that.
Absolutely. As all love, my bro. Much appreciated.